What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Arslan Fleet Podcast. Today is actually a very exciting episode because I came out to Denver to visit Aaron. If you guys already watched the main channel video, you might know, but I'm officially a partner in your guys' business, so Exciting stuff. Do we want to talk a little bit about how that came about?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess we'll start from the beginning. We sent an email out, just a random cold email, to your contact?
Yeah, so
contact financial Wolf.
I have a brand deal email where I just have people who contact me with business inquiries, and then I'll go through it every couple days, just see if there's anything interesting. Yeah. And I see in my email Arslan Fleet, we manage 10 Turo cars or 6 Turo cars. It wasn't an insane amount at the time, but I was at a point in my Turo business where I really wanted to learn from other people who were doing well, because I was literally experiencing so many issues in terms of my first car, and I was like, if I can get help from anyone, that'd be great, and I'd also get a YouTube video out of it. So I respond, and at first you guys just wanted me to do an ad for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, we jumped on a call with you. Our idea originally was let's try to get somebody. We sent out a lot of emails.
Really?
A lot of emails, had a lot of different...
Who did you email? Let's call out some names here.
Honestly, Chris sent the emails. And yeah, so plenty of emails to financial channels like yours. Mm-hmm. And none of them fit as well as yours, so you were the perfect one for us to kind of partner up with.
Dude,
right?
That's awesome.
And so you got back to us and you said, hey, sounds really interesting what you guys are doing, what you're trying to build. I want to come or at least get on a phone call with you guys, see what we can do. So we jump on that phone call, and Chris and I, we were originally let's get some type of a affiliate marketing deal where you're going to shout us out for 30 seconds in a video, and maybe we'll get 5-10 clients out of it, right? And then we jump on a call with you, and we start talking about your process. We're low-key kind of grilling you on a few things.
Yeah, you were telling me right away, which I really liked, about some of the things that from my videos you saw I was doing wrong on Turo. You were well, first off, this and this. You told me I didn't even have insurance on one of my cars because I was using Progressive and they don't cover Turo cars, and they're yo, you paid for insurance, but if you have any claim, they're not gonna cover you. And I was okay, these guys know what they're talking about. So then I was dude, I really want to make a video with you guys.
Yeah, and so it kind of went from that conversation to you being hey, I really like what you guys are doing. I want to come out to Denver and film the process. And so obviously me and Chris were still pretty small at this point. I mean, we've helped out, plenty of people at this point and have the knowledge, but we had never gone out to the masses like you could do for us. Right? And so when you mentioned that, we were this could be huge. This is big. The Financial Wolf is coming out to Denver to film our fleet. And so you had that conversation with us, and we were dude, we have a lot of stuff to get ready. And our whole business model from the first time that you and I had talked changed a ton. So
yeah, I remember you guys were doing this thing called Turo Done For You, which you still have the name, but you were mostly just focusing on helping other people get set up with cars and just kind of helping them. But you were mostly also focused on buying more cars for yourselves, right?
Yeah.
So you weren't managing cars yet.
Yeah, so we had a few that we were managing, and that wasn't kind of our primary source of income or business model. What we were doing, like you said, we were essentially taking people who wanted to be hosts on Turo and teaching them start to finish, A to Z, the process of becoming a Turo host.
Okay.
And that model changed pretty quickly because we decided, hey, why don't we just start managing cars and providing a passive form of income for clients, which is a very cool opportunity and offer. Because we're literally saying, hey, do you have $10,000-$20,000 sitting aside? Turn that literally into a Turo car, and we will manage it in Denver for you.
Because people, even my dad, I talked to him about Turo before I wanted to get into it, and he's I guess it's kind of cool, but you don't want to really deal with all that short-term maintenance, vacuuming the car. When you include your time with that, a lot of times you might be better off getting a long-term rental property maybe, or just putting your money in stocks. And with Turo, if you don't have a management company, it is pretty it's not super passive. You can only get to a certain amount of cars.
Yeah, it's not a passive thing when
when
you
there's
have clients to work with, or customers to work with, you have repairs to do, you have damage to deal with, and all along, I mean, when I started this, I didn't have anybody that was really giving me all this information. Like, I didn't have a coaching course that I signed up for or anything. And so every little thing that I would run into, I had to learn the whole process of that specific thing about Turo. Like, how do protection plans work? How do I communicate with guests? How do I deal with, reviews? Like, what happens if I get a bad review? All these things, you have to learn every single thing about Turo by yourself if you're doing it the way that I did it to start.
Yeah, so tell me about, like, some things that you, like, learned in the beginning with Turo.
Oh my God, so much. Let's see. I mean, first of all, just the whole process of, it's called flipping a car. So flipping a car is like the in-between stages where a guest drops off a car and another guest comes and picks it up. So in that stage is flipping a car and essentially getting the gas filled up, getting it clean, getting it ready for the next guest, delivered to the next guest if that needs to happen. And that whole process changed so drastically for me during my entire time building up the process.
How are you doing it at first?
So at first, I was doing what every Turo host thinks they need to do.
Probably what I was doing.
Probably what you're doing. Where you're literally delivering cars to the guests every single trip, different locations, whatever they choose, their preference, and then cleaning the cars. Sometimes when you're just starting, you wash it by hand even. And that is a lot of work. I did that for probably like a week or two, and I was like, I need a car wash membership, like now. And so my process went from being very hands-on with every single aspect of it to, okay, I got into this because I wanted a passive side investment. Let's see how passive I can make it with still getting the best reviews possible. And right now I have a ton of trips, and my rating overall on Turo is 4.98.
That's solid.
Yeah.
And
I've been very hands-off with the whole process and still have that rating. So there's been a lot of things that I've been like, basically like, how will a guest react to this change that I'm making, and is it going to be positive for the guest, and is it also going to save me time?
Absolutely. And like, to give an example, one thing that they like to do is have the guests bring the cars to the car wash, right? Yeah. So like, instead of at the end of the trip the car being dirty and you have to bring it to the car wash yourself, you go to the guest, hey, it's completely free, we have a membership, if you wouldn't mind, could you run the car through the car wash before you bring it back, just like, as a favor for us, giving you a car. And a lot of times if you ask, people are like, sure, why not? And really, people don't mind, I've heard a lot of the time.
And even more so, if you're being very nice, very communicative to that guest the whole trip, and then you say, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you make sure the car's clean upon drop-off?
Yeah.
They're going to respond very well to that.
Absolutely. And I mean, if they give you any problems, then I guess leave it, because you don't want to get a bad review, but you haven't really had many issues, right? Most people do it.
Yeah, people are very happy with it, and I make an effort to try to call all of my guests, because just hearing the voice will give them like the idea, like, this is not Hertz, this is not, Budget, all these different car corporations that are, have hundreds and hundreds of clients every single day. You are my world that day, right?
Yes,
you're my one person with my car. Like, assuming you have one car on Turo and that's your baby. Yeah. They're like, okay, I know what's at stake here. I'm driving around this guy's
Yeah, I think some people who get a lot of damages on Turo maybe should look at how they deal with customers and think about are you being personal enough? Because I feel like if you're calling with someone, they hear your voice, they're gonna want to drive safer and take better care of your car.
Definitely. I mean, that's a huge thing, and something that I emphasize is call your guest before they even get to the car. Call them before their trip starts. That way they can kind of understand who you are, understand that it is your personal car, so they're not going to be planning, hey, I'm going to go speed racing down the highway in this dude's car.
I would definitely, if I rented a Jeep Wrangler and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go off-roading, and then I get called by the guy who's giving me the car, I'd probably be like, dude, do I really want to do that? I don't know. I feel like some people would probably not go that route.
Yeah. And even like beyond that, if I call you and then you say, oh yeah, I'm planning on going off-roading or whatever, I can instantly just turn around and say, okay, call into Turo support.
Yeah.
Hey, this guy just told me he's gonna go off-roading. I'm not comfortable renting to him.
Yeah.
They'll be totally happy just helping me out and getting that trip canceled.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess you can avoid some issues by just being more communicative. That makes sense. I mean, with any business, like customer service is really important. So next, I kind of want to move into how your business model has shifted from managing cars to what you're doing now.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, when you first came out and the video that you did with us, it was basically like these guys are growing their car fleet and they're personally going to be managing, they're looking at 100 cars by the end of this year, which was very possible from all the people that booked calls from that video.
Yeah.
It was actually crazy the amount of people that booked calls. Like our calendar was completely taken up. Like no blank spaces for like 2 weeks. It was insane.
Bro.
Insane.
And you said like every 30 minutes for 6 hours for 2 weeks. Like do the math.
Yeah.
That's 12 people a day for 2 weeks. Like
Yes.
that's almost like that's like 150 people, bro.
Yeah, and to think how many meetings we might have missed out on because we had all of our spaces filled up and people were like, well, I guess it's too late.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we missed out on a lot of people that wanted to get a car on Turo and couldn't because our schedules were full.
And I mean, I guess that just comes with any startup. Like you're not going to be like, if you have a good enough product, you're not going to be able to like ramp up production super fast.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you give us a couple months,
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have a really good process. Everything will be figured out. That's the thing, like with any business, there's like a trial and error period where you have to figure out like, how are we able to like provide a ton of value to the customer, but also like deliver to everyone who wants that service? Because I think that's a good problem to have. Like if your service is good enough that more people want it than you can actually deliver to, that's a good problem.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of like trial and error, so our whole business model in general has been trial and error.
Yeah.
Right. So we started out like we talked about. It was a Turo Done For You program where we helped you build your Turo profile, get your first car, rent it out on Turo. And that's what our original product was. And then we said, screw it, we want to manage the cars and build our management company to 100 plus cars over the course of the next year. And then we had our calendars completely booked out.
Yep.
Like just for 2 weeks, booked out calendars, and we were like, we cannot manage all these cars. We need help. Like we barely have time to manage our cars because we are talking to people about taking more cars on all day. And so what we ended up doing was we said, all right, look, there are Turo hosts and people that know Turo like the back of their hand all over the country. And they would be more than happy to take on a second, a third, a fourth car and grow their business as big as possible. And so that's kind of what you came out this week to film, was us getting cars into the hands of a few managers here in Denver. Yeah. And so that's right now what the business model is, right? So we're connecting clients who are saying, I want a passive form of income, I've got extra money sitting around, connecting them to the Turo hosts that want to build their business as big as possible. And so it's a really cool kind of gap that we've been able to fill.
Because on one end, the Turo hosts are getting a newfound income stream, and then we're charging a setup fee to facilitate that transaction. So, I mean, I guess it's a win-win. Like, someone is getting a passive business model, and the other person is getting, 20 to 30% of the monthly revenue.
Yeah, I'd say it's a win-win-win. Because you have the client who has extra money. You have them fulfilling a need of putting that money to use and growing that money into more money. You have a host who wants to build their business as big as possible, as fast as possible. And then you have us who we want to just launch people's Turo businesses, help them grow them as fast as possible. We also want to spread the word and get more of our clients onto Turo so that they can have a passive form of investment in the car. And we're happy because we got paid a setup fee.
Yeah, absolutely. And who knows what's going to happen in the future. I think I think for now this is a really solid model, and I guess to kind of move on, another thing I'm really excited about, like with this new model, is that I'm now going to be able to get my Turo cars out of my hands, because with me traveling so much for videos, it's been so hard to manage my cars. So the goal is to find someone in Austin to manage my 2 cars for like a 25% fee or so. I'd really like to find someone who has some sort of like mechanic knowledge.
Yeah.
I think if I might just even reach out to some mechanics and try to build that connection for them to maybe get into managing some Turo cars for me, and maybe other people who want to do Turo in Austin. So
yeah, and another thing, I mean, we are launching as well a certification program for hosts. So we want the hosts that we are putting cars into their hands, they need to be top notch, like know everything about Turo possible. And so we have a program where we originally, like the original business model was we were helping people just start up on Turo. Now we're doing that, but we're putting the cars into their hands because we have somebody else
to manage for other people.
Exactly.
So it's like you get a certification course, and then you can like manage cars for side income. Like you get 30% of whatever that car makes, and since you know how to manage it, it's going to be a great profile. It'll do well, and we know that the process works because you tried it out. You manage cars. So I don't know. I think it's pretty sick, and I'm excited to like start delegating my cars to like a different host, and that'll be interesting. I think that'll be cool for the videos to see how much I make those 2 cars rented out full time with someone else managing it. So that'll be like literally 100% passive income. I think I should make like what, $1,200 a month, I think, from the 2 cars. Realistically.
Yeah, which is pretty good. I mean, that's $1,200 just straight into your pocket passive.
Dentmobile might make like $400, and then the other car will make like $800. I actually I forgot, I named it on like my GPS tracker. I think I named it like Dent or like something like that.
You gotta own it, I guess.
Maybe I should name it that on Turo.
Yeah, I mean that. If you just bought into it, people could be like, I'm going out to Austin and renting Dentmobile.
Dude, I know. I should like post it on my story. Maybe like some people who watch me would want to rent it. But
I kind of like that. Yeah. Interesting.
That's that would be funny, but I guess something I can think about in the future. I'm not sure if I want to sell that car or not, dude. I know you've been telling me that I should just get rid of it because I need new struts.
Oh my god.
Bro, it's like $1,000. I'm like, ugh.
It's a project car. For sure, and there's a lot of other cars.
So many.
There's actually another car that I'm looking at today that costs. What did you pay for your car? Was it like $5,000?
Yeah, $4,800.
$4,800 with a few new parts. It was like mid-5s.
Dude, with all the repairs, I'm probably in like $9,000.
Jesus. Yeah. So there's a car that I'm looking at today. It's a Nissan Versa 2017, and she's willing to sell it for $5,500.
Dude, that's insane.
Pretty good. That's a 2017 car. Now it's cheaper because the mileage is pretty high, but on Turo, like you don't see the mileage when you're booking a car, so it doesn't really matter as long as the car is still in tip-top condition and it's kept in maintenance up and everything's good on it. But that car, $5,500 purchase price. And I looked up on the Turo calculator, which is where we kind of do part of our analysis on cars. The estimate for an annual earning on that car is $11K.
Wow.
$11,000. Double the car price.
Literally, you'd make your money back in like 6 months.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the thing about those cheap cars. It's like they're a risk, but there's also a huge potential reward of making your money back in like less than a year.
Yeah.
And then everything after that's profit. So that's what drew me to buying a cheap car. Also, another person I learned a lot about Turo from, Aubrey, her strategy was to buy like cheaper cars and then rent them out. And it works well for her because, I mean, her husband's a mechanic. So like she saves a bunch of money on repairs. So like I see the value in that business model. But I think moving forward, I'm going to kind of go your guys' route where it's like buying $15,000 to $20,000 cars.
Yeah.
Because that's really where you see good ROI. Because not only can you rent it out for more money, but you also get those better quality guests and less repairs. So it's kind of like, it's another like good strategy.
I mean, to be fair, this would be my first time going cheap.
Yes.
And I'd be interested to see what cheap gets you in Denver. Because I don't know.
I mean, it's a two-wheel drive car. I think it won't do as well in the winter for sure out here.
For sure, yeah.
But there's always those people that want the budget car.
Yeah.
You probably will have more like smoking claims, because I will say on the Fiesta, I've had 3 smoking claims already.
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, budget...
Actually, more than that, but 3 with like ash.
And you're probably making more money off smoking claims than your actual Turo profit.
Yes.
Which is kind of funny to think about.
Dude, I've been making money off those claims, I will say.
That's hilarious. But yeah, so to be fair, that car that I'm getting, or hopefully getting, we'll see, it would end up probably being my daily driver a lot of the time, and then I would just supplement the price of the car with renting it out
when you don't need
it,
or when you have
a week
other
out of the
cars.
month or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I know, like, right now you don't have a car, you just kind of drive.
Yeah.
I mean, you technically have like 20 cars, but you don't have a personal car. You kind of just like figure it out.
Yeah, I have access to a lot of cars, but I don't have my car. Like, Aaron does not have a car. You know? But I have cars that I can drive, so I've made it work. But now that we're getting cars out of my hands into managers' hands, they're not going to be sitting at my house ever. You know?
Are you managing any cars right now still?
So, just today, and our meeting with Rakita, the new manager.
You'll see in the main channel video.
Yep. She just took off my hands, which is very exciting, the last 3 cars that I was managing.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
She took the Jeep, and then she took...
So, it was the Jeep, it was the Toyota Highlander, and the Nissan Pathfinder.
Damn.
Yeah.
Cool. Another thing... Okay. I think we've mentioned one more thing and then wrap it up.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
The last update I kind of wanted to mention in this podcast is you're no longer doing rooftop tents. That's another trial and error lesson that we learned. So you talked about in the last video how you were buying these rooftop tents for around $3,000, renting them out for $50 a day. If they're rented, say 10 days out of the month, you're probably making, $3,000 in 6 months.
Yeah.
Right there's your money back, and then everything after that's profit. Very good idea in theory, but what was like the logistical issue that you ran into with those?
So we and it's not like we did that with no backing. We didn't jump into that saying, oh, we're gonna make a bunch of money off these rooftop tents without having proof of concept beforehand. Unfortunately, our proof of concept was a badass 4Runner. Like, this thing was probably souped up more than you've ever seen a car.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's insane. And so people just wanted to rent that car out. And when you're looking at camping cars, like cars that you can take out camping, sleep in the rooftop tent, in Denver, there was literally nothing that compared with it. I looked around on Turo, I tried to find something better, and I couldn't. There were no better cars. And then somebody drove it into a parking garage and damaged the rooftop tent.
Really? On his car?
On his car, yeah. And so that kind of was like, all right, hold up. We just made a lot of money off this rooftop tent, but people are idiots, unfortunately, and don't know how to handle your stuff. And now, another annoying thing, and thankfully this didn't happen with this renter. He was super cool, super nice about it. Most of the time, a rooftop tent listed as an extra item is not covered on your protection plan.
Really?
And so it's just up to you giving the best sales pitch of your life to be like, please help me out with the cost because you're the one that damaged it.
Damn. And how much did he end up paying you for the repair?
So he completely repaired it. Like,
how much was it?
$1,500.
Wow.
Yeah. But to think that could have come out of my pocket because it was an extra item is kind of insane.
Damn.
And
So
scary.
that's scary. So did you end up taking the rooftop tent off?
So that wasn't the decision maker. That was, I'll say that was probably the cherry on top of what made us not want to do rooftop tents anymore. The other issue was that the other cars that had rooftop tents on them, the rooftop tents weren't getting rented out.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because if you're looking at the 4Runner, you're like, that's the car that I want to take camping, and so your audience of people who might want to take out your tent, they're choosing your car, and that might be a small portion of the people searching on Turo. Now, other people searching for like a camping car, there's a lot to choose from. So now we're competing for that few people that want to take out your car camping and sleep in the tent on the car.
You're limiting your audience because people are like, I don't really need this one with the tent. I'll just get this other Subaru that doesn't have the tent because I don't need it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think we were definitely limiting our audience quite a bit, and seeing less bookings because of it.
So what are you gonna do with these rooftop tents? Are you gonna sell them?
I'm gonna use them.
You're gonna use them?
Yeah, I just personally. So one of them is gonna be mine. A few other of them belong to other people, and it's gonna go on their cars, and then a couple of them are getting sold.
Okay.
So they're all going to good use. Like I won't say that it was like, you know, money down the drain for any of them, because they're gonna end up, you know, having a good use. People are gonna be sleeping in them. People are still gonna be having fun with them.
Absolutely.
But it's not anymore an investment.
Yes, it's now a toy.
A liability. Yeah.
Absolutely. So on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this little podcast. It was a mix between like announcing like that I'm now part of this, and I'm excited to do that, and also just talking about day-to-day operations. We're gonna try and do a podcast about once a week, just, you know, updating on everything. We're gonna have guests on here, and give us some tips on doing a podcast below, because we could probably use it. I've never done anything like this, so drop a like if you enjoyed, and peace out.
See ya.